Hello and welcome to another episode of the Self-Made Podcast. In this episode, I speak to Stephen Collins. Steve is one of my longest and oldest friends in the fitness industry. He has carved out a niche in, well, he hasn't, and this is what we speak about in the episode. You know, he is often well known for working with a wide range of populations, from people in their 80s to young kids wanting to get into sport, to professional athletes, to your regular gym goer wanting to get in better shape and want to get stronger. He is a phenomenal guy when it comes to training programming. But this podcast veers away from what we intended. We talk about his journey in the industry. We talk about what he's learned from traveling, and in turn what I've learned from moving out here to Hong Kong. We speak about some of the trends that we see in the industry, the pitfalls that we sort of see, and it often comes down to one thing, and that is being a good person. And if you want to be successful in any endeavor in your life, not being a bit of a cunt is really crucial. We delve into a lot of things here. We talk about the business coaches, we talk about mentors, we talk about how people should treat their own clients. And for anyone out here that wants to sort of understand a little bit about the psychology behind strength coaching and just understand a little bit more about what goes behind it, this is a fantastic episode. We will definitely be getting Steve on to talk more about his passion and more about training. But if you do want to learn more about what he really is known for, please go and follow him at Stephen Collins Training on Instagram. And if you enjoy the episode, as always, please share on your socials, tagging myself and Stephen to spread the word and get more people listening to the podcast. So I'll leave you with myself and Stephen Collins. All right, Steve. So obviously we've known each other for years. You're probably one of my like oldest friends in the industry. But for people that don't know you and what you do, tell me a little bit about who Steve Collins is.
Hi, mate. How are you? So I am a performance and nutrition coach, pretty much, you know. I like to think of myself as a problem solver, someone who works with people, helps them become better, whether that's athletes or general pop. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Nice. So obviously, the backstory of how we know each other, we both started in our former employer, let's say name redacted, although we can say it if you like, when you came onto as a junior year. So tell us a little bit, you did, about a year there. And tell us a bit where your career's gone, because you've obviously, you started off, well, maybe you didn't start in London because you're partway through your career, and now you've gone into various different places and gone into various different avenues. Tell me a little bit about the development of your career, where you see yourself now and how it's gone.
Yeah, so a quick backstory, might be a bit boring, but like a lot of trainers, I started in sport and I had a lot of injuries. So I sought information from people to help me rehab and get better and stronger. And, got stuck into gym work, getting stronger, fixing myself. And then I decided to work in a gym. I was just a gym instructor at Commercial Gym Virgin Active in Islington. I met a lot of good coaches, great people who I'm still very close to this day with. And I remember speaking to two of the guys, and I said, listen, I want to learn more about this stuff. I want to be a good strength and conditioning coach, personal trainer. They said, you got to check out this guy. And anyway, it was Charles Poliquin. Checked out some of his certifications, jumped on the course, learned a lot. And then that's where I really got stuck into that style of training. And obviously a lot of people listening, they probably know what that sort of style of training is. After that, worked in the city. And then I came to work with you at UP, which is obviously a transformation-based facility. Then I decided I'm always wanting to change what I'm doing, obviously, when I was this young. Then I decided I want to travel. So me and the missus just packed up and we moved to Australia to travel. We traveled Australia and then ended up settling here. And now I'm in Perth working with all different people, really. I've worked with high-level athletes, low-level athletes, general pop. Clients are, 85 years old is the oldest client I work with, down to 11 years old is the youngest client I work with. So a big array of clientele. Do I need to niche down? I don't think so, because I love working with everyone and everything.
We'll definitely talk about that niching down part at some point.
Yeah.
Where we're at. But the key thing, the interesting thing you mentioned there to start with was like you spoke about working in Virgin Active, as did I, and like it's interesting. I think a lot of things I kind of want to do with the podcast and interviews that I have is almost find out what makes these people successful. There's obviously a big fitness trend in it, and obviously a lot of people are trying to help get, whether it's get stronger, bigger, leaner, more successful in the business, whatever else. But I kind of want to delve into some of the mentality of these people that have done well and have longevity. We know that personal training has a massive dropout rate. And what do you think it was that made you want to learn more? Where some people were just happy coming in, doing the sessions. I mean, there's loads of them in a Virgin Active. What do you think set you apart that you want to be driven to do more with this?
Well, I'll tell you what I learned from working at that commercial gym. I learned how to communicate and talk to people. That was the biggest thing I'd probably take from working in that sort of environment. Yeah, I learned, thousands of members coming through that door every day. If you can't pick up clients and learn how to talk to people, you got problems. That's the reality. I learned communication skills, and I'm from a pretty rough area of London. I grew up on an estate, so I'm not used to these city slickers and how I talk. And obviously, just be myself, And did it hinder me from getting lots of clients? Probably, but I stayed true to myself and just did what I did, innit? And, I picked up lots of clients, was getting good results because people around me were getting good results. Like those guys that I mentioned earlier who put me on to Charles Poliquin courses, they were top guys. They were top coaches. So my thirst for knowledge, I just wanted to get better, just want to be, I'm competitive. I want to be the best, like who doesn't want to be better and be good at what they do,
Do you think it's a more nature thing in terms of like you've grown up in a family environment that has made you competitive and that's your drive to be the best? Or do you think there was a massive effect on being around the right people who could introduce you to people like Charles Poliquin? Like, how much do you just think there's like inherently you, and how much do you think you were right place, meet the right people at the right time?
That's a good question. It's, what, I'm going to give you the boring answer. It's definitely both. What I mean? Like growing up, I played sport. I played a lot of team sport. So you got to learn how to be better, be good at what you do, but in a team environment. It's not just you that's going to win the game or, whatever. But then, like, growing up the way I grew up as well, like you got to learn how to look after yourself and, So that side of it as well. But then working around people that were very, very on the ball and had skin in the game, obviously taught me that you have to work hard, you have to learn. And like what everyone says, right, to earn more, you got to learn more. It's so true,
I definitely think, I don't think it's a boring answer at all to say both. I think there's always, it is this fact. I find it fascinating that the intricacies of how somebody got to where they're at. And I know there's a lot of parallels on what you said and it's similar to my upbringing in the industry. Like team sports is a big thing for me. And I think team sports allow me to teach how to work together, how to seek advice from people, how to, stand on the shoulders of giants. But for me playing rugby all those years, like I'm not a guy that was naturally gifted at anything, really. Like I was a pretty rubbish rugby player when I first started. And for the longest time I was reserves bench, subs bench. And it was that drive to be better probably started there. I was like, I'm almost there, but I'm not quite. And that just ticked at me. And I was like, okay, I want to be on that first team pitch. It was that individual sort of drive that maybe didn't come naturally with the upbringing I had. And like, I think that sort of, that drove me. But at the same time, I think a lot of the times, like whether that's the people I met at UP or whether that was the people I've studied from or the people I'm now meeting doing these podcasts, it's like, I've definitely accelerated the process. I would not have been the place I am now without people like, yourself, Nick Daniel, chatting to people like Seven Gasol, Tom Hibbert, all these like Luke Lehman, like all these guys over the course of the year, over the years have like sort of like had a big shift in the direction of my career. It's taken me up a level that it might have taken me when I was still at Virgin Active 3-4 years, but it would have got there eventually.
Yeah, I think that it's just growth in it and maturing. You know what I mean? Like when I was at school, I failed almost everything. You know, I was good at woodwork, science. I failed science. Then I went and did something like a football academy, and I had to do PE and A level P physical ed or whatever. I dropped out. I hated it. I basically failed. Like I didn't even turn up. Like you know what I mean? I failed. So I spent a lot of my time not being academically good. You know what I mean? I was a practical person.
Why do you think? Why do you think? I think you were just about to go into it, but why do you think that is? Because obviously, with sport and science, and you are very meticulous in your approach and very science and data driven in the way you program for people. So, with that in mind, knowing the way you're wired, why do you think it is that the school system, in a way, failed you? Because you was what is that discrepancy?
Yeah. You know what? First of all, being a young guy, I was lazy and I wasn't mature. I wasn't lazy and I wasn't mature enough to stick to it, to, like study and, be good in class and that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? I wasn't mature enough and I just wasn't ready. And that's what I always tell people that ask me advice on education and, jobs. A lot of the kids that I work with, I work with a heap of kids and I always tell them, trust me, focus on your studies, make sure you're good at school because you don't want to be like me doing things like a master's 10 years, 8 years too late. It took me 5 years to get onto a master's in sports science. I applied every single year, but they wouldn't accept me. They wouldn't accept me because I didn't have enough experience. I didn't have the, credits that you needed to have to get onto this sort of course. But every year I decided, okay, well, what can I do to get on this course? All right, well, I'm going to network with the right people. I'm going to go get experience where I need to get experience. I'm going to show them on paper that I have the skills to be at this level. It took me 5 years. Every year I applied, and then I finally got into the sports science masters without having any academic without having any academics.
Did you do your undergrad straight out of school?
Nope.
When did you do your how did you go? Like,
I didn't go to university. The first time I ever went to uni was to do a master's in sports science.
Okay, interesting.
That was it. So between the ages of 16, when I dropped out of school, I then went to college and I failed my BTEC in sport because I wasn't mature enough. Not because I wasn't knowledgeable or whatever. Like the biggest thing I learned from doing my master's was how to be a critical thinker. I think if they taught that at school, you'd be getting a lot of, kids being successful, whether that's with sport or life or whatever, critical thinking.
I totally agree with that. I think critical thinking and almost a lot of lessons that finds that getting that hook. I often find that people that you talk to that have been successful at school, whatever you deem as successful.
Yeah.
They have that teacher or they have that somebody who that connected with them, that made something interesting for them and gave them a passion. And I always look at it and go like, I have a very similar backstory with education as you do, in the sense of I've always been a bright kid, never applied himself. And in turn, I got a third in my degree, I was naturally all right at my GCSEs. A-levels started to sort of like, oh, you're kind of hitting your limit. And then I didn't apply myself at uni. And I feel a lot of it's like, I would have loved to go back to uni now, 10 years later, having the passion and knowing, I want to do this. This is what I want to do with this information. And now if I go back and learn it, I now pay a lot of money a year to learn the stuff that I wasn't applying myself for at university. And like, I think a lot of the time it's learning stuff for learning's sake certainly in the UK education system, I think, where it's like, it's this syllabus rather than sort of like actually helping people develop a passion for something that makes them actually want to go and learn it. When I look at educating trainers, it's my job is to facilitate learning. So they want to go and do it in their own time rather than dread the times where they sit in front of me. And I definitely feel that like, if I had my time again now, someone who was me at 17 asked, should I go to university? I'd say take a year or take a couple. And actually learn what you want to do. Because when you go to university, because you should go to university, you're not old enough and mature enough to apply yourself because you don't really know what you want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
You either end up resenting it because you work hard and push it and missed out on your 20s, or you piss it away because you don't really know why you're doing it. It's just that core sounds good. I hate it less than the others.
Yeah. I think doing a master's in sports science. I mean, some of the modules I had to do: physiology, biomechanics, practice and coaching, research, programming, periodization, topical issues, which are basically like current sort of interests or relevance within the industry, that sort of stuff. And then having to conduct research because it was a research master's. A lot of the stuff you kind of already knew, Sounds a bit stupid, but a lot of it you already knew, like apart from the sort of research side and evidence-based sort of stuff, a lot of it you already knew and already practiced. So I definitely think critical thinking was the biggest thing I took away from my master's. Asking the right questions, then finding out why, questioning it even more. Should I apply? Should I not? Is this evidence-based? Well, evidence-based isn't just because a study proves it. Evidence is that guy's been doing it for 5-10 years. That's evidence, So yeah. That's basically what I think.
Especially when you look at stuff like research and things like periodization. When you look at periodization and training, a lot of that's very anecdotal. Like
yes.
Coach has been in the industry for 10, 20 years. He's seen trends with athletes because generally when you're looking at studies, and this is even more apparent with nutrition, but you similarly get it with training as well. You see it when you work with general population of compliance rates, subconsciously or consciously. People accidentally make mistakes on diets. They miss training, work gets busy. And these are people with inherent drivers. I need to be better at X. And then you've got people that are doing this for a bit of money or doing this to help the mates study or doing it because they're just doing a university study. They're not going to be doing it with the same level of intensity and drive and effort as you probably need to get a really definitive result. And that's putting aside people funding studies to find their own conclusions and bias and that sort of stuff, just on that alone. So experience, I think, is kind of everything.
For sure. I think a little bit on that about the study stuff. I think, there's not a lot of studies that are based on training that are done very, very well, especially when it comes to long-term, 6, 12 plus weeks on strength or power training or even hypertrophy, because they're difficult studies to conduct because there's, you got to keep the people in the study, right? And life gets in the way. We don't all have access to high-level athletes or people that don't have jobs or don't have lives. Yeah. So it's very difficult to conduct those sort of studies. So for example, I did a cluster study on 2 different cluster protocols, which is basically a method where you take rest periods in between each rep, and it allows you to, produce more power, produce more force, to lift heavier weight faster. So we monitored a group. I had a group of athletes or people that were very strong. They had to be able to squat 2 times their body weight as a starting weight. And, if anyone that trains, there's not a lot of people that can do that who are going to want to train with me for 8 weeks, twice a week, doing legs at 90% intensity. Yeah. Does that make sense? That's a big ask. And finding those people who can squat 2 times their body weight, that's going to be difficult. But I was able to find about 20 odd people that I could control. I used a speed device, something called a push band, where we monitored their velocity on the concentric part of the squat. And then we tracked over, 2 different protocols, 5 sets of 3s and 3 sets of 5s, different rest periods. And the goal was to see who could get stronger. But also we looked at who could move the bar faster over those 8 weeks. And what I found is that obviously both groups got stronger. Well, they would do because they're training hard and they're following a program and a periodized strategy which has deloads. Both groups got stronger. Everyone got stronger. I had one guy who squatted 155 and at the end he was squatting 182. That's serious. And he still maintains that now. I had other people that just went up a kilo or 2, and we were micro-plating the weights week to week. So it wasn't 2.5 kilo jumps. We were adding on 0.25 or 0.75, depending on the percentage that they were lifting. But both groups got stronger. One group wasn't superior to the other one. The speeds were interesting. One of the groups got slower. One of the groups got faster. So depending on where the athletes or individuals might be in their training block, whether they're trying to peak, you might use one approach or the other. So, yeah, interesting stuff. It was fun.
So you went from there when we jumped to Team Masters, which was a lot down the line.
Sorry, I diverted there. Yeah.
Jump away. I don't care. I love a tangent. So you then went into the place London, and then you talked about moving to Australia. What was it that sort of made the move? Why Australia? What made that leap to go the complete opposite end of the world?
Me and the missus, we just wanted to travel, and it was out of Canada and it was out of sort of Asia, Australia. We decided, I don't know why we decided Australia, literally, I don't know. And then we just went into, I can't remember what it's called, the booking place, like where students go, the cheap place where you can just get a ticket. So we went into there, just booked the ticket. Oh, fuck, we're going to be in Brisbane in 3 months. All right, I better get bloody saving then, innit? And tell my clients, see you later. So we just ended up in Brisbane. We flew to Asia first, Philippines and all that. And then we came to Brisbane. And then we bought a camper van and drove around the whole of Australia over 7 months in this camper van. We lived together in this camper van. Oh boy, that was an experience, I tell you. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And I knew that if me and the missus could get through a camper van for 6 months together, we can get through anything,
Yeah.
But we did that. We got to Perth for Christmas Day because she has a cousin here. And then we just ended up staying and landed good jobs. And now we are applying for our citizenship. We got a house here, We've got a house, we've got a gym in the back garden. Love it. Yeah. I love it. Sunshine. I love it. The beach, the water. We're so lucky with COVID. What was the question again?
just a little bit about sort of why the travel, and a little bit of sort of like, what do you feel you've learned from traveling? Like people always say travel broadens the mind. I definitely, in my experience moving out here to Hong Kong, I definitely feel it has, even though I don't know how well I can put my finger.
Yeah.
How do you feel like traveling away has impacted your life in a way that you probably wouldn't have got in staying in London?
You know what? First of all, leaving what I had in London, my business, that was a big thing for me. And I was very nervous about leaving my whole business and I just gave it to two of my mates. I said, here you go. There's 30, 40 hours of clients. I didn't even ask for any money. I was just like, here you go, have it. Well, a lot of people, they'll be trying to sell their clients. And I'm like, listen, boys, just take the clients. I don't know if I'm coming back. There was no plan. But fuck it, I'm going. So, that taught me just kind of just don't worry about things to an extent, because it'll always work out. It could always be worse. You know what I mean? You could be in Afghanistan right now. You know what I mean? It could be worse. You know what I mean?
I've got clients just moved out of Afghanistan. Yeah, it definitely could be worse.
People, especially living in London, as you know, people don't show enough gratitude to what they have. We have our health. We have a roof over our head. You can always borrow money from the bank if you have to, you know what I mean, or whatever. But what have we got to worry about? We get so consumed in performance and how we look, and all right, it's very important to do that and have goals and look after your health. But fuck me, got a roof over your head.
Yeah,
don't get too stressed,
I certainly feel that way.
It taught me that,
Huh?
So it taught me how to not worry about things too much. It'll always be all right,
Yeah. I think that's a big thing I've learned in the last 6 months.
Yeah. Always take gambles.
Yeah. Oh, and I've certainly learned that over the last 6 months. And we've obviously spoken about this in sort of my transition into being more my own man when it comes to my training and my business and my career. And and I spoke about this on a podcast recording I did yesterday, but it was everyone talks about the consequences of taking a risk. If I take this risk, what happens if I move away and I don't find a job? Right? And they think, oh, I'm going to be in a different country, I'm going to be broke. Well, realistically, as you said, you can borrow money from the bank, you can come back home and live for your mum. Neither are bad options.
Mum's always there.
Yeah, mum is always there.
You know what I mean?
And
you always land on your feet.
Yeah, but no one. And one thing I've learned over the last 12 months is the risk of not taking a gamble. You regret the things you don't do. And I look back and I said I had a podcast with Umar. I looked at that. I looked at the podcast I did 6 months later. They were both fine. But the confidence I had listening to myself on that podcast, and I went, wow, every time I decided not to bet on myself, every time I decided not to make a decision, it was me saying, my current circumstances is what I expect for myself. I don't consider myself better. And even if you don't think that consciously, every time you don't bet on yourself, it's just another knock to your own self-confidence. In 6 months, I was almost unrecognizable in the confidence level I had. And I was like, that taught me a lot in terms of like, you know what, like back on yourself more, because I'm now in a position where I'm better off financially. My mental health is certainly better by a country mile. And, you know, like, and it's moments like that, or even moments in Hong Kong. Like, that's like, for me, like moving away from all friends and family, and certainly with Elle, who's much more of a home bird than I am, landed on our feet. Like, and things are arguably better.
You always make it work. You'll make it work when you have to, and things will work if, you know, like we came to Australia and we had no money. You know what I mean? We had no money at this point. It's like, fuck, we need to find a job. You know what I mean? You find a job, you do that, I'll do this. And it worked out. You know what I mean? I'm eating lunch, tins of tuna. Dinner, tins of tuna. You know what I mean? We had no money. I couldn't buy steak. But now we're all cushy now, you know?
So an interesting thing I've always thought about yourself and me following your career for the last, how long we've known each other? 7 years? And
plus 7 years.
Yeah, well, I was at UP 7.5 years, right? So it must be about that, because you started not too long after me. And like 7-8 years. And one thing I've always noticed is like, I get that when you look at somebody's life, you see the highlight, right? Like, you know, even your mates, they don't tell you always everything that's going on behind the scenes. They put on their best image. But one thing I've always struck me about your career is that whenever I get on a call with you and we talk about how things are going, you always have something exciting going on when it comes to your job. So, I'm training this professional football team. I'm now looking at these athletes. I'm doing this study. I'm doing that study. Considering most of that time I've been speaking to you, you were sort of on the road traveling, not really spending too long in one place, and then sort of just getting your feet into Perth. Like, what is it about yourself you feel that has let's say it's networking? Like, how do you feel you've been good at networking to find yourself opportunities, even in the unfamiliar surroundings?
I just put myself out there, you know, like risks, you know, like take risks, contact people, email people. Like I said, I emailed that university to get on a master's every year for 5 years. You have to be persistent with things, you know? So when I was traveling, any city that I went to, I would just contact people, just, you know, like have a look who's in the city, who's working, you know what I mean? Not to say that I was, you know, like always doing that. I wasn't, obviously, but if I knew that I was touching down in Sydney for a couple of weeks, I would just speak to friends, find out who the trainers are down there, you know what I mean? Try and network, go to those gyms, blah, blah, blah. When I got to Perth, same thing. I knew about Shredded, so I went down there, knew about this gym, went down there. And you just network and meet the right people, innit? You know what I mean? So, yeah, you got to put yourself out there. You have to put yourself out there and network.
Yeah. I enjoy it. And that's that. If there's a common trend that people I've spoken to on the podcast have done quite well for themselves, is whether they say it directly or indirectly, like building a big network is so important. And like standing on the shoulders of giants, because if there's one thing that almost every podcast guest I've had has done, is they've always name dropped other people. There's never it's me, I'm on my own standpoint. Like the people that are really successful that I've interviewed are all, I learned that from here. I learned that from here. This person's cool. I went and met this person. And I think like it not only with personal training, certainly now like we're working at home or I'm working, you know, quite a lot online now, it can be quite an isolating job at times other than speaking to your clients. So it's like, sometimes I remember like in like the UK, one thing I miss out here, which you don't really get, you lucky bastards in Australia get a lot of it all the time, but in-person seminars. And what I found with in-person seminars, it wasn't necessarily the educational content, although excellent, most of the people I've gone and visited. It's meeting those people that are not the top of the industry because they're people teaching it, but there's all these people that's the next rung down. And if you start like all of a sudden like talking and getting known with these people and going to other gyms and meeting these people, eventually as these people start to like taper off and move into other areas of their life, this level brings up. And either you'll be that person that brings these up, or they'll be the people that bring you up. And it's never through I'm trying to get more successful. It's just sort of like I've met a lot of good friends along the way and we just grow together, I suppose.
Yeah, like you surround yourself with like-minded individuals, right? And that you have things in common with, and then you all blossom together, right? So that's a big thing, you know, like for me, networking, networking for me is like in-person networking, you know, like I don't do a lot of social media stuff, which I'm trying to do now. I have a problem doing that, networking on that side of things, you know, but that's my own barrier that I need to just do. But networking like here, you know, like one of the first people I met over here was Dr. Professor Sophia Nymphius, which is one of the leading experts on speed and agility training. She works with very high level athletes. And then I just like, you know, shadowed a few of her sessions, and then she asked me to help out a little bit. And then I just got started working with her and a couple of sport teams over here. And then after that, I took that and just ran with it. You know what I mean? That's how I got into working at High Performance over in Western Australia. And then coming back for my master's every year, one of the guys I used to come in to lecture for us on the intensive was Dan Baker, who is Australian and one of the best strength coaches in the world. And I would then get training and talking to him, you know, like I'd just be in the rack doing my thing. Then he'd come and spot me, we'd get chatting, and then he knew that I knew Sophia, and then, you know what I mean? So networking, it all falls into place, you know, because our industry really is a small industry, you know, compared to the world. Everyone knows each other.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how small it is. Like how many people I've met that like know these kind of people. I think it's a bit of as well that this industry, because it's still in its infancy, it's very accessible. And we're starting to get more, it's starting to get more mainstream. And I wonder if that will affect how accessible this industry is. Like people like James Smith, as you know, right? It's becoming almost like him and the body coach, becoming almost like the first fitness celebrities. It's like the first people that have book out a course or like a seminar, and it's not just nerdy coaches. It's just everybody. It's you know, Maria and a mum, you know, like, but I wonder if that'll make it less accessible, because I think one of the amazing things about this industry that people, you'll start to follow people, you go, oh, I really like this guy's work. You almost become a celebrity in your eyes. Like people, like those people now, very quickly I could call friends, people I've gone and had calls with, you know, and I don't know if there's anything else where people at the top of the game are so accessible.
I think as much as, you know, we want to learn more, be good coaches, know everything, apply it, get the best results, the most important thing that, you know, like when I die, I just want people to say I was a good fucking person. You know what I mean? Just be a good person, whether that's you being funny or, you know what I mean, you got your morals, your family, ethics and all that sort of shit. Just be a good person, you know what I mean? And obviously, you know, them guys, they're good people. Like, you know, they're funny. They know how to, you know, show it and market their stuff. Fair play, innit? You know what I mean? We might not agree with it all as other professionals, but, you know, they're smashing it. They're killing it. You know what I mean? So fair play, you know, let them do their thing. Everyone, you know, take different angles. Yeah. We can learn something from everyone, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Even if we don't agree with their training style. I think that's definitely one of the things I think is wrong with a lot of clients, athletes, coaches, trainers, is that we don't respect people enough, you know, like we always want to, you know, like, oh, that's wrong, or, you know, blah, 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 you know, like just let them have their time in it and be happy for them and take some of that stuff and try and use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make yourself better.
There's definitely become more of that. I think the world in a way has become more polarized without going too political. But like certainly in the fitness industry, you'll get people fall into camps, right? And I think as much as important, we spoke about this off air about having a system, but like you want to have a system that it becomes inclusive of others. Like knowing, like the more I become systemized in my approach, the more open I am to other ideas. Like, okay, now I know this is good and it works here. This is good, but it doesn't work with how I work, but it's a tool for another opportunity. And this is not good. It doesn't mean they're wrong to use it. It just doesn't work for what I do and who I am. I think I think there's definitely a thing when it comes to polarizing sort of things. But I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping as the industry grows, and it certainly seems to go that way, that education seems to be getting better. It's been a long time since I saw eggs are going to make your cholesterol and your heart explode post. A long time since we've seen something like that.
Well, the media, they're always going to choose things that turn heads, right? And look sexy and attractive. And they're always going to twist things, right? So, that ain't never going to change. Our job is to educate people on the truth, right? The truth normally falls in the middle, right? So nothing works on either extreme. With anything.
So with your clientele, you've obviously spoke about you've worked with a wide range of clientele. I mean, like, do you have if you're saying you didn't want a niche earlier because you like working with a wide range of people, do you feel there's carryover? Do you feel that things with your athletes has now helped you become a better coach with Gen Pop? Do you feel things with your Gen Pop has helped you better at coaching athletes? Like, do you feel there's a benefit to being so broad in terms of who you work?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like you get different personalities and different personality traits, right? One athlete, everyone thinks athletes are very highly motivated and perfect movers. Well, that's far from the truth, like a lot of athletes I work with or have worked with, they don't even know how to keep their back straight and bend over,
They're better compensators. That's what I've. That's how I've approached it. Not better movers. They're better compensators. They get it done some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, you get some athletes that move perfectly in the gym. They do perfect snatches, perfect cleans. They're fucking strong as an ox, but they suck at their sport. They're just not at the level they want to be. I think strength and conditioning coaches, personal trainers, they don't really understand transfer. They don't understand what we call dynamic correspondence. They don't understand that just because your numbers are going up on the squat or your jump is getting high doesn't mean you're going to be a better athlete. They don't understand performance transfer. It's not just about numbers. It's not just about that and being better movers. How about how they move on the pitch, reaction and things like that. There's different ways to apply.
And how much of that do you think, as a strength and conditioning coach with athletes, are you in control of? And how much of that should be done in training itself for the sport? Because you've got two ends of the spectrum, right? And I know you're on neither. And as you said, the answer's always lying in the middle. You get the strength and conditioning coaches, and they're often the ones that will put the ads up on Instagram and try and make themselves sound sexy, where they're throwing weighted medicine balls, they're doing weighted agility drills, and you're like get strong, let the training get better at the sport. But on the flip side of that, there's got to be things that you now will have a better crossover than just making someone muscle bound and actually make them a hindrance to the sport. So when you're looking at, like, you've got an athlete, they've got a certain sport, how do you skirt that balance between, like, okay, you just need to get really, really, really strong. Where do you leave it to the training, and where do you feel you can make an impact?
Well, I think a good coach will always research the sport that they're doing, possibly, if they can, watch the athlete in their sport, competing, training, so you can get a real understanding of the sport, and that individual, and how they move, and whether that's a team sport or an individual sport. See how they interact with other people, see what, how they warm up, how they cool down, see how they move and sprint, twist, turn, jump, etc. I think that's a big part that a lot of performance coaches don't do. Well, it's time consuming, obviously, but just get a video or whatever, look online, do some research, talk to people, talk to their coaches, who they're skill coaches, just because, like we can learn skill in the gym, motor skill, biomechanics, cognitive skill, positioning, not just physical traits, like power, endurance, and speed. Yeah, we can work on those other qualities as well. So, I think. What's the question?
Like, where do you feel when you've got yourself an athlete? Where do you feel that balance is between what I can control? What do you feel you can make an impact on, and where do you feel it's like that's down to their coaches and their skill coaches? I don't really have much, because you say you can get someone strong, but they're not going to be better at their sport. Is that a lack of? Is there something the strength and conditioning coach is there to do, or is that now down to their work ethic in their training away from the gym and their skill coaches?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult question to answer because, some sports are very skill driven. Some sports are more strength or power driven, so you have to look at the sport again. You have to look at the athlete, where their qualities lie and what level they're playing, and then apply what strategy you need from there, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's a difficult question to answer. Yeah.
When we're looking at, so obviously what training pitfalls was sort of like the overarching title of what we're going into with this episode here. So as you have this broad range of people, from athletes to general pop, whether it's someone just trying to get in shape or get stronger, or even perform better, what are the common things you feel that come up time and time again that you feel that there are people making oversights or make mistakes in their training, or maybe mistakes that you've made in training?
Yeah, I think I'll tell you the biggest mistake I made with training. All right, I'll tell you my nutrition one after. It's quite funny.
Right, cool.
The biggest mistake I made with training is not respecting my lifestyle stress and like we call it allostatic load, right? I didn't respect the allostatic load that I had on me. All right, and I was just continuing with my training as normal. I didn't respect it. So, for example, I'll tell you this example. I was training with someone and we were doing a really aggressive, like high intensity, high volume program, right? And at the same time, in that 8 or 12 week block, whatever it was, I had a massive essay due for uni that I was behind on. I was moving out of my rental into my cousin's because I didn't have anywhere to go because we were trying to buy a house. I was also at that time debating whether I was going to be moving to China because I had a potential job coming up. And what else did I have on? I mean, I was doing this program and I remember waking up. It was like 10 to 2 and I was training at 2 p.m. and I woke up late. So fuck, I need to get in there and train, yeah? So I went in there and then I just did a quick little warm up. I picked up the bar and my back just seized up. I damaged the facet joint. And then after that, I had massive muscle spasm. And, years later, I still have this problem. It's not obviously bad as it used to be, but I still got this ongoing problem that affects, my training and my, driving a car and sleeping. And some days it will just get inflamed. So I didn't respect all those stresses that I had, like I should have backed off. I should have just not trained or backed off that week because life gets in the way. You've got to, you know what I mean? It was just me being younger, ego, peer pressure from my training partner. It's not always about going beast mode and following the program, like, right? I didn't respect it. I didn't respect lifestyle factors and stress. And that fucked me.
I think that something similar is one for mine. Like I've had this constant battle with how terrible my range of motion is. It's been a running joke between us for most of my years we've known each other. And for me, I think it's similar in terms of not respecting my recovery, but also just running before I can walk is probably my biggest training mistake. And I think this is something that a lot of clients do as well. It's like, you're learning about things like with your athletes, sort of GPP, sort of like general preparation phases and look at structural balance and all this sort of stuff that I never really learned early on in my career. It was bodybuilding stuff for me. I didn't have the sports strength and conditioning background that you had. So it was more like, a lot of it was like train chest on a Monday and back on a Tuesday and legs on a Wednesday, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it only wasn't until years later where I avoided so many end ranges and worked around so many things that eventually those things caught up with me. And now it's a much longer process to try and sort these issues than it would have been if it actually taken, start at the base of the pyramid and work my way up rather than just jumping under a bar, throwing myself under a bench press, hardly ever pressing overhead.
Yeah. You got to do it, right? I mean, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
The nutrition mistake I made was I was training with someone who I highly respected. He's very good. Yeah, he's a very good coach. I worked with him. And
I like that you don't name this person, which makes it sound like this is about to be an embarrassing story they don't want to
do. I'll show you who it is after. No, wait. Fuck it, man. Let's do it. Well, I worked with this guy, and he like, was like, yeah, diet, whatever. And he made me do this fish and greens. Right? And I did this fish and greens. And fuck me, like, I only did it for a week or something, and then I couldn't do it because I was like, fuck me, I can't just do this. You know what I mean? You want me to train 5 days a week like a beast, 6 days a week like a beast, and fucking fish and greens. I'm sweating. I stink of a cod. You know what I mean? I can't keep eating any more fucking oily salmon and fucking broccoli sprouts, and fucking cabbage. Fuck's sake. But hey, listen, I made my client do it. What did I do? I made my client do it as well. My client went to the Liverpool derby, Liverpool-Everton. He's like, Steve, it was so hard. It was with his missus. He got out a fucking plastic container and he was eating fucking salmon and greens out the fucking plastic container at the fucking one of the biggest football matches of the year. I was like, that's dedication. He did about 2 weeks. Like, he lost a load of weight. Guess what? It was probably just a fucking load of muscle anyway. Was I an idiot? Yes. But I'm not an idiot anymore because I didn't ever make that same mistake again. I mean, what did I learn from it? Well, we learn best through experience, right? That's what makes us good coaches. We learn best through experience. We don't make the same mistake again. So, yeah.
I think, was this an old mentor of yours that put you on a fish and greens diet?
Well,
assigned mentor.
Sorry?
Assigned mentor of yours rather than necessarily mentor in the larger sense of the word. Yeah, cool. I know you're talking about. Right, and like I remember similar-ish time actually, because I was training with you. I was put on by the same dude, and it's not a bad diet, but I was put on a twice-a-day training split. And you joined me on, you jumped in with me on this for a while, right? So it was like, we did our strength stuff, we came in early, we both didn't really have any clients at the time, we were just starting out. We came and did our strength stuff in the morning, and we came and did sort of like our perchley, like triceps, giant sets of like one body part in the afternoon. And you know what? The program was good. I really enjoyed that program, and I got stronger and I got bigger, and it was great. And the biggest mistake in terms of nutrition I learned with this, and it's supposed to be a training mistake in a way as well, because you've got to match your training to your intake, is that was great when we had no clients. And then I got one client, 2 clients, 3 clients, 4 clients. And all of a sudden I couldn't do twice a day training. Did my 300, 400 grams of carbs a day change? No. And then I realized for a while, I was like, okay, now I'm only training 4 days a week. And like, now I'm just getting really fat, like really fucking fat. And it was because like the diet hadn't changed and the appetite changed, but the training had. And now I was just hammering carbs in left, right, and center.
I think that's similar to what a lot of clients do wrong. They just keep adding, they keep doing more. And a lot of trainers, the transformations, fat loss, they just give a ton of volume to clients. And after that block or diet or whatever, then they just go back to normal. And, whatever you do, you should be able to sustain, right?
Yeah. I have a funny relation with the word sustainable, especially with dieting. Training less so, but with dieting, I think. Yeah,
I agree. Diet is sustainable. Yeah, go on.
But there has to be an exit strategy from this. There has to be like, how do we find the middle ground? Because oftentimes clients will come in and go, I don't really want to do this because I want something sustainable. I'm like, you haven't done it for a day yet. How do you know it's not sustainable? It's that they don't like it on paper, because to them they're like, well, I kind of want to get shape, but I do like pizza Thursdays, and I do like piss up Saturdays, and I'm like, it doesn't it doesn't work. It's like, right, it's tunnel vision. I'm not saying fish and a rice cake is the only way to diet, but I'm saying like the idea is to make it as healthy and as accommodating as possible, but we're here to do a job. You get the job done, and then it's like back yourself out to the place where you kind of want to sit.
Yeah.
Training less so. What's your thoughts on the
I think it's just you as a coach, right? Like educating the client, teaching the client. Listen, I want the client or the athlete to ask questions. I don't want them to just follow what I'm telling them to do. You know, like trust has to be earned, right? Just because you're paying me doesn't mean that you should be trusting me. Well, that might sound wrong, but ask me questions about it. Ask me about the process. Ask me why, and then, go away and do a bit of research as well, and then ask me more questions, I think I agree with you. A diet should be in place to teach, right? And you should have an exit strategy definitely set up.
You hit something that was very interesting there as well about asking questions. And I think that's another mistake people make when it comes to training, nutrition, whatever, is that especially online, because one-to-one, you could sit there and go, do you have any questions? And if you can look on the face, you can see him shifting around, you can see him being, and the response is, no, I'm all right. Come on, you got a question, what is it? Whereas when someone's online, you do get this thing all the time where you get the people that tend to get really good results online are the people that are like, you're almost like wanting, you don't because you love it, you're almost wanting to mute their WhatsApp because they're like, hey, what about this? What about that? What about this? Oh, I've tried this. What do you think of this? Because it's those who ask questions that are truly invested in the process, where you get other people that are overwhelmed and it could be a quick fix, but instead of quickly fixing it, they just disappear into the shadows and they don't speak to you again and they sort of follow it and you don't really know and they don't track it because if I don't track it, then it didn't happen because I didn't understand what I was doing, but I didn't ask. I think that's a big thing where a lot of people go wrong, is that they don't actually embrace the coaching process and make the most of it. Yes,
I agree. Yeah, the coaching process. Yeah, definitely. I always tell my clients that, like, I'm here to support you, not just train you during this session. Ask me questions, email me, call me, text me, like, use me, like, use me for what I'm here for. I'm here as your coach, as your nutrition coach, as your training coach, your lifestyle coach. Ask me questions, talk to me, tell me, like, because I want them to learn on the process, I want them to learn about how to train so that I can then give them a more advanced program over time and know that they're going to go and execute in the gym, like, without me.
I think any clients listening to this, it's understanding, like, and any even a coach watching this who feels like they can't give away their knowledge because they think the clients will do that on their own. I have no issues with a client truly saying I can do this on my own and going if I genuinely believe it. There's always more to do. There's always different goals. But I'd much rather educate my clients to a point where if they were new because they want to. They like the training, they like the diet, and they like learning something new and the skill acquisition of it, rather than me feeling like I have to babysit and always help them along the way because they're not asking questions. Whereas if they kind of like bounce ideas off, and eventually it's sort of like, it's a collaborative effort. Hey, what do you think of this? This is what I put together with your trainer. Oh, okay, cool. I'm struggling with this. Okay, try this. And it's almost a team effort to take them to where the goal is. It's a much more rewarding experience for both client and trainer.
I can't stand babying people when it comes to training and nutrition and guiding them, like, drives me insane. You know what healthy food is. You know what a fruit is. You know what a vegetable is. Don't ask me whether you, oh man, But the problem is, it's confidence. It's people that they see and listen to, and other, authorities. Like, have big following on socials and are in the public eye. Like they, you can't have bananas or you can't have fruit or you got to watch this and that and don't train like this, train like this. And it's people have camps, dogma, belief systems, and it confuses everyone. You know what I mean? So it's not their fault, but I still don't like it.
Yeah, it's not, but it's certainly a mentality. You start to pick up trends with people that I know very, very quickly who's going to kill it, and it's never by you think when you start with a transformation gym like we did. You start with that thing going, why is this person getting all the gift horses? Why is this person getting all the good clients? And you learn very quickly that good clients aren't dictated by they move well in the gym, they've got a good frame, they're holding, a bit of not too much body fat or too little body fat. The gift horses comes down to the mentality. It comes down to that person that comes in and goes, they're asking those questions. They've got a key driver. They've got a why. Like those are the people I now get excited by. When I get off a call and I get a response, if I send an email, I get a reply. I'm like, this person's going to be good. I don't care what their capabilities are, what they can do, what their training history is, what the nutrition history is. It's like, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to find it out. Attitude, the detective mindset.
That's why I always, like when I get someone new come in, I always give them something to do. A little bit of homework. I might clip them up, body fat test them, but I won't weigh them. I was like, go weigh yourself tomorrow morning for me and then text me, please. Let them go and do it. And then we'll see. It's quite quickly filters out, who is going to be on it. You know what I mean? You get a food plan from your client, 7-day food diary, and they've fucking done an Excel spreadsheet with drop down menus and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this guy's on it.
Yeah.
This guy's on it. They said, I told him to go to the shop and buy a stability ball, and he went and did it. Fucking next day. You know what I mean? This guy's on it. I
want like, exactly. It's that ability where, like, when I find a client that will frustrates me, it's never a person that makes genuine mistakes. I'm here to help mistakes. That's my job. It doesn't bother me at all.
Of course, yeah.
It's the people that where you go, that that they're just not committed to it. It's the people that will go, hey, okay, we're struggling with the weekends. Can you come up with a plan? Send me a plan on Friday, what we're doing, how we're getting on. Then Friday comes, Saturday comes. And at best they'll send you a picture of the McDonald's or their Subway sandwich. And like, it's them, it's tick the box. But it's like, I've done the bare minimum. I've sent a picture of one meal in a 3-day. I've not even considered what I'm having. It's like to them, it's like, it's done.
Yeah.
It's like person having a pile of dishes to do and just washing a fork and then going, done the dishes now.
Yeah, it's like I remember when I worked at UP and Nick Daniels, he was talking about the sort of clients that we used to get through the doors, and I'm pretty sure I heard him say this anyway when I was there, unless it was on a podcast. He basically said like the type of client that used to walk into UP, they had something happen or something ticked in their head and they were ready to go. That's why a lot of people get fantastic results, because they were ready. They've been through this journey, this process. All right, I'm there. I'm going to fucking do this. Where sometimes, we get clients that come into myself that they think they're ready to do it, but really they're not. They need a lot of guidance and coaching before they really hit something hard like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or just before you go into the example, that all they need something that's a pattern break in their life to make them do it.
Yeah.
And I find the hardest people to get in shape are often the people that other newer trainers would quote gift horses. People that go, they're holding, let's say, 18 to 20% body fat, they've got a bit of a good frame on them, and you go, this guy's going to be really good. They're the hardest because they look good already. They don't look great, but they look good. Like, why not have a slice of pizza when okay, I'm not shredded, but I look good in the t-shirt and I'm fine. Like, it's the people that are 30, 40% body fat, or the people that have had the doctors told them some bad news, or there's something has kicked them into gear where it's like, I need this. And every day I'm like, I don't like this. I'm unsatisfied. Yeah. Rather than people like genetically gifted people often make bad clients.
Yeah. It's I'll give you this example though, right? Like, imagine this, like, if she's listening to this podcast, I'm sure she ain't gonna care because I'm being honest. So like one of my clients, right? She's got high blood pressure, really high blood pressure. She's on meds for it. So she's on medication to control her blood pressure. So I said to her, do you have high blood pressure? She says, no. I said, what? You don't have high blood pressure? She said, no. And I was like, so why are you on medication for? She was like, oh, but the medication controls my blood pressure. So I said, oh, so your goal is to be on this medication, what, forever? She was like, well, the doctor said I'm going to have to be on it forever. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. No, like, blood pressure is just something that you can control, right? And get it, like on top of, So, that mindset It's like, what kind of mindset is that? You know, like,
take the pill and it's fine.
Yeah, and it teaches a lot about someone's headspace and psychology. High blood pressure, coming in all the time, struggling with training because going through menopause, hot sweats, tired, body's fucked. It's all over the place. Can't get on top of your sleep. You know, you're fucked. You're not sleeping. You're fucked. You ain't recovering. You're fucked. Can't go on HRT because of really high blood pressure. Well, you want to go on HRT to control your menopause or whatnot? Get on top of your fucking blood pressure. Simple. Move more. Eat better. Less fucking takeaway food, which is full of sodium. Less alcohol. More water. You know what to do. Do it. Maybe I'm too nice. My coaching hasn't been the best then. That's my fault. Because I've worked with that client for 2 years. She hasn't improved. That's my fault. You know what I mean? But like, what do I do? Like, do I sack the client? Like some coaches are saying nowadays, you know, like, oh, you know, your business, your clients, you know, they're not getting results. Fucking sack them. Well, first of all, she pays the bills and my mortgage. Second of all, she's a friend. You know, like my clients are friends now. You know.
I hate that. I hate that.
It's a hard one, right? Like, what do you do? Like, how would you coach that?
Yeah,
you know
I hate that. I think there's people.
My approach has been wrong. You know, my approach has been wrong, and you know, hopefully, I won't let that happen again with someone else. You know,
I do and I don't agree with you in that. Like, I think there's an element, like, it's good that you always look to the thing of like, okay, like, how can I be better? If I've got a client similar to this, how could I get through to them? That's that drive to be better that we spoke about at the start. But I think you get coaches that are either too hard on themselves, thinking they can cure everything, and like understanding that not everyone's priority in life is to be dick skin lean. And people come in and go, well, I couldn't get them to follow this diet, so I'm wrong. Maybe they're just kidding themselves that they want this when they don't really want this. And it's your job really is to make them realize you don't want this. So you can just go, how about we just bring food up and get some weight on the bar? You know, like, and it's finding that balance. Like, how do I get the people that kind of do want this, that just need the support? And how do I help those people that don't want this, like, find where their true priorities and drivers are? But on the flip side, you got the other side camp here where we're like, oh, the clients are on the diet, sack them. I'm like, you have just failed as a coach. Like, someone here is paying you for support, and rather than finding out the goal that's important to them and being a mentor and being a coach, you're being a twat. Like, I'm sorry, if you're a coach here, there are exceptions, of course. Someone's rude, someone's taking for granted, someone's copywriting you, someone is wasting your time that could be given to other people, then there is an argument for them to say this is not the best fit. And some people say, well, someone is wasting my time, they're not getting results. It's like, a lot of times, like, sometimes maybe, but if you're literally at this point where if someone doesn't follow my fish and greens rice cake diet, I've given them macros, they don't understand macros and they're just not doing it, I'm like, and you sack them, sorry, you're a dickhead, you should be ashamed of yourself, because like your job is to be able to help wherever they're at.
And that's partly why I love working with all different types of people, because, you know, like, I'm getting people that are 82, 83 years old, you know what I mean, that, you know, they're pretty old, you know, like, I'm teaching them how to walk in a straight line, you know, and how to lift a leg up, and all the way down to youth athletes, you know, like, who learning how to move better. Youth athletes is sorry.
So who's going on to that though is like with those elderly athletes, and you realise how much.
I love that, elderly athletes. That sounds so good.
They are.
They're athletes. They're
athletes. Like, and it's how you understand there's more to training than fucking abs and pulling birds. Like, and it's this one track mindset of it. They're not dieting, fuck them. Like, you're teaching people who are 80 years old to keep longevity in their life. That is way more important than a set of abs will teach.
100%, really? Man. 100%. Yep. It's mad, like, because I love working with the elderly and older people, you know, like people that are retired. First of all, it's such a good population to get into because of those reasons that you just said. You know, you're helping them with a better life. You're helping them hopefully put years on their life, you know, and move better, be stronger, you know what I mean? Pick up their grandkids, their great grandkids, whatever, you know what I mean? Get in and out the shops, in and out the car better. The second thing, good thing about training elderly population they're retired. You don't have to train them at 6 a.m. in the morning or 8 p.m. at night. You can train them during the day, like between 9 and midday, Imagine you being a trainer, build your clients around the elderly. You get to work with them between 7 and midday, and then you're done. You get better work hours, because they don't have to work. And one of the good things is they're retired, like they should have disposable income. What else are they going to spend their money on, right? Except health and moving better. So disposable income, You know what I mean by that. So
100%, like 100%, and like I think you say going back to that foreign clients thing, which has gone off on a really good, interesting tangent. I'll probably change the episode title to "Don't Be a Cunt."
Fucking cunt.
But like it's that thing. It's like people go into this industry nowadays looking at people like the Muscle Mentors and Callum Raystrick and Luke Hoffman, and brilliant coaches and really good guys. But going like day one, going to be a bodybuilding coach. I'm going to be a prep coach. Have you ever been on stage? No. Like, okay, cool. If you
exactly.
Can these young athletes afford you? Physique athletes afford you? No. So okay, so you're going to be broke, and you have no experience. So like, okay, so what are you going to have to do? Oh, I'm going to have to work with people in their 30s and 40s who have made money, sitting at a desk, being busy. Like, okay, they have other priorities in life. You can maybe temporarily get more zoned in on one priority, but if you think that you're not going to have a client that's going to give up every social occasion, never have a struggle, get 8 hours sleep all the time, even if there's a work deadline, even if the stock markets crash, you're living in a fantasy world.
Yeah, and like that's partly why my argument is against niching down. You can niche down, like when you come to your marketing and presence online or whatnot, show transformations or show athletic performance more or whatnot. But you need to be pretty well versed and all round to deal with many different types of clients and athletes, right? Like my athletes don't just work on strength and power. Some of my athletes work on rehab. Some of my athletes work on, all different stuff. You know what I mean? So, personally, I feel like I didn't niche down on a particular area, but I niched up with my education on, sports science, right?
Yeah.
Physiology, biomechanics, everything, I hope that makes sense.
I think your niche, I think now with the fact that you've been in this for, over a decade and, you've worked with a number of athletes, you've worked with various different populations. If you want to niche down your market now into strength athletes, you could do so relatively easily and know if this strength athlete doesn't go how the studies say or on paper, or they get an injury. Oh, I've seen knee injuries because they get on my 84-year-old, Mary Muffintop has as a knee injury that I have to work around. All right, okay, cool. So I now know some of the things that I can do with this person now can't move as well. Rather than a lot of people come into the industry now, and another thing that grinds my gears, this is definitely going to be called "Don't Be a Cunt." It's like people now going level 3 business coach, and before you niche down, I've niched down into I am bodybuilding coach, I am fat loss expert, I am strength expert. I'm like, I didn't know what my niche was when I started. I had to work with a whole bunch of people. What I thought would be my niche 10 years ago is not what I really want my niche to be now.
Yeah.
It's because
I'm the same. And like, if you look at it this way, right? Strength and conditioning, high performance coaches, right? Their niche is athletes, right? But check this. This is how fickle that side of the industry is, right? The money is in pro sport. There's no money in Olympic level sport, right? So you're going to find a professional rugby club or a professional football club or AFL club, which is Aussie Rules if you're in Australia. Like over here, I'll tell you the story, right? So there was a strength and conditioning coach at the Fremantle Dockers, all right, which is biggest AFL club, one of the biggest in Australia, one of the biggest in Western Australia. And you probably make about 200K a year. The geezer was there for 7 years, maybe 8 years, right? That's a long time, yeah? He was there, very successful. After 8 years, he's got all his family, he's living that 200K lifestyle. He got sacked. He then went over to the East Coast. So he flew all the way over to the East Coast with his family and had another very high level role at a rugby club. I don't know what he was on, 160, 200K, whatever. Fantastic. Did that for a few years. Now he's back in Perth. Now he's at a lower level. It's called a waffle level over here. He's probably on 70K a year. How fickle is that? How can you go from that level to that level? When you've got family, you've got kids, you know what I mean? Like, what, you're going to keep taking them all over the country and all over the world just for a fucking job? Like, fuck that. You know what I mean? So these guys are in this area that's so niche down, working with high-level athletes. It's not a good thing. If you think about your family life, you think about, you're always the first one to lose your job if shit goes wrong, right? As a high-performance strength and conditioning coach. What kind of life is that? Stressed about money, jobs. Fuck that. Be your own boss, have your own facility, or, make sure that you learn different areas.
Yeah. And
not just niche down,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going into the business coach thing. It's a trend and issue that sort of worries me. And I'm not against business coaching. I've got one. I work with, with Adam, who we work with, and a lot of stuff is great. And I think a lot of trainers should invest in someone to help them with the business side. Because a lot of trainers, including myself, for a long period of time, very much lacked in that side of the world. But I think that the problem we have now is that the industry trend is now moved away from being better at the job itself. There was I don't know the name of it. There was a fitness industry summit very recently. You might have seen it on Instagram where all people like Paul Moore and Mark Coles and Phil Graham had these photos next to these massive audiences on Instagram.
Is it the IFS?
It might be the IFS, right?
Summit, yeah. Darren and James basically run it.
Wasn't the IFS originally supposed to be more actually a summit about the craft of sport, where now it's like 90% business coaches and actually hardly any. Hey, here's how to actually be good at it. And my biggest go on.
Yeah.
No, go on.
No, go on. Sorry, carry on. I don't want to
my biggest concern with that now is that eventually it's going so far down the realm where people are getting less and less further education than actually have being good at their craft, and more, how do I market Instagram that I am good at my craft? You can only sell shit once. It's like doing your first diet as a big crash protein sparing modified fast, like your fish and greens diet you spoke about earlier. And you do that crash diet time and time again, but your diet stopped working as well because everything's down-regulated. It's like once you've ripped enough people off because you actually don't know what you're talking about, you go to all these new business mentors looking for the answer. And the problem is you spent 10 years not actually knowing what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's a problem, man. It's a problem. But, it sells, isn't it? Because people want to make money. And, people want to just make money, you get a lot of people that say, what is it? I'm just, a lot of people, they say, I can make, this guy made 70, he made 50K this month. Wow, I could do that for you, make 50K this month with my sales and all this. Well, one number doesn't mean much, right? One number is just a number. It's just a statistic, right? Is that 50K because you just signed up your members or your clients for the next 6 months? Or what does it mean? Show me 2 numbers. All right. Show me the change. Or how about you show me 3 numbers, which is the trend. Okay. So, always look, I like to see things 3 numbers or more before I sort of trust it.
Yeah.
Because that will show a trend, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just a number or a statistic or a change,
100%. This is the reason why I sort of resonated towards working with Adam, because it's like we have the roundtables now where it's like there's education on being a better coach and there's education on being, the business side of things. Whereas I've seen business coaches recently where it's like, I want you to drop your prices and I want you to go from weekly check-ins to monthly check-ins. Okay, so you're making your service worse and charging more. And I'm like, there's a big disconnect for me there. It's like if I'm increasing my prices, there's something on the back end. I feel my moral obligation, I've got to give a better service to my clients to warrant the price increase.
And you do that because you're a good person. You don't want to take the fucking piss, and that's why you and me and other people listening who've had that sort of those same values will last long and make a good career out of it. because we have those morals in place.
Yeah.
There's other motherfuckers that just want to make a quick buck and, you know, like,
the V-Shreds of this world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's disgraceful. Business coaches, fucking hell. If I wanted to find a business coach, I'll find a proper business coach that runs a proper business,
not just someone in the industry.
Maybe. I mean, Adam Haley's good. I listened to the podcast. Yeah, I listened to the podcast.
Will you take business advice from Nick?
Nick who?
Not Daniel.
Yes, I would. I would. I was actually trying to look at a podcast a few weeks ago, and he had a podcast on someone's page, and I listened to it, and I really, really enjoyed it, to be honest. Doesn't mean you're a cunt, but I enjoyed it. You know, like I said, take everything from everyone. Respect. You know what I mean? Take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know what I mean? Use it. Yeah, cool. Definitely.
I've had a very rough and up and down relationship with that guy, but I think you want to be starting a business, being ruthless, making money, setting the foundations in place. You can learn tons from him. Wouldn't get his handbook of how to manage his staff, but you know, that's my personal opinion. I love that that's on the record. But it's you know, I think the business coach thing. I think firing your clients thing. I think it comes into that thing at the moment where people are looking at what I think something's changed in the industry recently, and as the fitness industry has become more popular, and there's more faces, and there's more names, and there's more fame and ego. And we talked about earlier on with James and Dylan and like the guys becoming more the celebrities, the Joe Wicks, and they didn't go into it with this mindset, but it's just because now someone says, I see a James Smith as a prime example, right? And they go, they see him as this overnight success, this celebrity. When he's got a decade of work that he's grafted away and just put himself out there, and he's got this personality that people resonate with. And people are trying to say, I want that now. And there are a lot of coaches go into this industry with see more coaches these days going into this industry with an egotistical mindset. It's someone that fires the clients is, you as a client who's paying me, what are you doing to help me? Why you're not helping my profile, my career, my image, rather than be like, hey, you know, really, you're paying me for me to help you. That's kind of the gist of coaching. It's not about me. Like Andrew Coates once told me when I was on the podcast, he talks about the storytelling, and the coach is not Harry Potter. The coach is not Frodo. Our job is to be Dumbledore. Our job is to be Gandalf. You know, that hits home so much to me. That it's like if you're getting into this for selfish reasons, if you're getting this to be a celebrity, then you're in this industry for the wrong reasons. Yeah, definitely. I agree. So, before we go, have a couple of closing questions. If you had to give sort of 3 things from your industry, that you've learned in the last decade, that you feel has helped you get to being the coach that you are now, or that would help people who want to aspire to be in the industry for the right reasons, what would those pieces of advice be? I think the first one is going back to what we said earlier. Be a critical thinker. Ask questions. If you go on a course or a workshop or you're learning something, ask questions. Don't just believe it. Go and research it. Go and find out more information. Get more upskilled in that area and that topic. Learn it properly and question it. Because what everyone teaches isn't always, not that it's not always right, but, you know, there'll be different angles, right? So definitely, you know, be a critical thinker and always question things. I think that's definitely my first tip. My second tip is to train. Make sure you train, all right? Whether that's by yourself or with a friend or with a coach. Train hard, train smart. You know, there's a lot of smart coaches, smart programs out there. If someone doesn't learn how to train hard and dig deep and get into that pain cave and that dark zone,
yeah, I think it's a quality that a lot of people don't really know how to get into. You know, if you're a trainer, you got to experience that. All right. I remember when I trained with Nick Daniels once, we did a leg workout, and it was just like some solid bodybuilding leg workout. And I remember I was on the leg press and I was screaming the gym down. I was like, fucking screaming, swearing. And I fucking couldn't walk for the whole week. The guy put me in the pain cave. But that was a good experience for me, you know. Like I learned that, I learned that pain cave.
You can get your clients there better if you've been there, right? Like,
Yes.
Some of those old leg workouts run by Eddie, I urge everybody, right? Like, you know, he's a love-hate relationship with the man. But if anyone is in the Los Angeles area and wants to learn how to get into the pain cave, pay for an hour of Eddie Brutus time.
Yep.
You will 100% like on the gym floor.
I think it's a skill that you have to learn, you know, and clients need to learn that, you know. How many times you get a client that, you know, you give them something or you tell them what they're going to be doing in this next block of training and they do it and they're like, oh my God, this is so hard. And be like, no. This is hard. Now fucking go again, you know, like, let's go.
Yeah,
it's not air bikes aren't the only thing that's hard.
Yes, there's always more. It's like you almost teach someone, could you make a bodyweight squat hard? And again, I'll use Eddie as a great example of this. I remember when he got a client come in and he was like, oh, I deadlift this much, I bench this much, I squat this much, and you just saw Eddie's face, just his eyes rolled, and you just like, you got him on one plate on the leg extension, crippled the guy. And like, there's something so powerful about that. If you can make a bodyweight set of squats hard, like Phil Leaney did a seminar with it where he got people to like count tempos, screw feet to the floor, and en masse at a body power event. And it's like, if you can get people to do that, what happens when you eventually get them to put 200 kilos on a box back squat bar? Like, what's happening to the quads? And I think it's every time you go and do a coaching experience, whether it's getting a coach, going to a training seminar, training with a mate, you find another level. And you may only get 3/4 of that way yourself, but then you'll go back and push the level up. And over time, your training gets better than all the clients' trainings, right? Love that.
I think, you know, like, I think that's part of, you know, the learning process as coaches and as the client or as the athlete, learning how to, you know, intensify their training, you know. A good coach will slowly feed that to a client.
What's number 3?
Number 3, I think number 3 will be coach more people, you know, take more clients on, coach more people, get more experience. I know it's one that everyone probably always says, but, you know, coach more people, get more exposed to different body shapes, body sizes, biomechanics, different experience levels, especially as a new coach, right? Newer coaches, like, don't worry about niching down. Just fucking get on the gym floor, get talking to people and get coaching.
100%. I think we've talked about that one a lot. I think there's nothing more to say about that. Like, the more people you work with, the more experience you'll get. You know, like I used to take pride in the fact that I was the people that were broken and vegan diabetics with one leg used to come in and be given to me. And like, well, why do I get the reputation? Because I took everyone and anyone, and I trained them, and I made mistakes, and I fucked up, and I got better.
But exactly. But you train them, you try to learn, deliver passion and skill, and you learn, right? Like, I have clients that I worked with 10 years ago. They tell people that I know, or they tell me that I'm like the best coach they ever had. And I'm like, fuck, you should try work with me now.
Yeah, it's humbling, right?
13 years later, I'm even better. I know it sounds really fucking obnoxious, big-headed, whatever, but
I don't think it does, though. I think that's a humbling thing. I've had that when online clients that come to me like, "Oh, I trained with you 4 years ago, and I'm really glad you reached out." And I'm just like, "Hey, like I thought I was rubbish back then, you know, like." And it's quite humbling to see that, you know, that it makes you feel that the work you've done behind the scenes has paid off. If that was considered good, I'm here. And I think it's, you know, as regards to coaching as many people, you'll find your niche and you'll find your way. So if you had someone who wants to get into strength training for themselves, if you had two pieces of advice for people to get started and overcome some of the mistakes that you see being made so you can actually make some really good progress, what would the two things be?
The first thing would be to learn how you should be setting up. So start positions. All right. Learn how to set up properly. I went to the gym earlier, the local commercial gym, and I was benching and I put the 20 back onto the thing, and then the guy sitting on the calf raise grabbed it and slapped it on his calf raise. And I'm like, fucking hell, that guy's got like a lot of weight on that calf raise. And he started popping them out. And then I'm looking at him thinking, all right, he's shifting weight, but his feet are in the wrong position. He's using momentum. He's all over the place. That guy's going to go and tell everyone that he does 120 kilo calf raises. You know what I mean? Like, no, you don't. You do it shithouse. You got to learn how to lift properly. You got to learn how to get into the right start positions. All right. If you get into the right start positions, then, you know, it's way better because you don't, you know, risk of injury is obviously going to be less. You're going to learn how to then do the movement properly. Hopefully you don't pick up niggles and injuries like that first one I said. So start positions. It's so important.
Yeah. It's also easier. Casson always talks about that, but he talks about setup and execution when he's teaching coaches from N1. He's like, if you get the start position right and the setup right, you have to cue less because you put them in a position where it's easier to do it right than wrong.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So what's
I think that's a...
Go on.
No, go on. I'll go on to the second tip. The second tip would be to don't get too bogged down. Don't get too stuck into one way. All right. There's many ways to skin a cat. All right. Don't get bogged down into just sticking to, you know, West Side Barbell method or Charles Poliquin's accumulation intensification methods, you know, where he manipulates volume and intensity. Don't get stuck down into just using linear periodization models or 5x5 protocols, you know, shit like that, you know, like try everything, experience everything. One person will work well on this, one person will work on this. There's so many different ways to periodize and train, you know, like don't get stuck into one training system. All right, there's many different ways to train, so try it all.
Yeah. And then lastly, before we close off, if you had one thing that you feel you've gained from traveling, personally, professionally, whatever, what's the one biggest thing you've gained from being moving away?
I think I learned how to be what I learned the most from traveling was how to be disciplined.
Okay.
I learned how to be disciplined, and like it wasn't so much traveling; it was just like where I ended up being and where I was working. I learned how to be disciplined and like sort of have like work hard. You know, I learned how to really work hard. Yeah. Any questions on that?
That's a good answer. No, that's a really good answer. And I what I liked for that is like it wasn't necessarily traveling; it was where you ended up. Like I remember I was walking down the harbour in Hong Kong, by Tamar Park, and I don't know what made me think of this, but I was like, I'm a totally different person than I was 18 months ago, and it's because I moved out here. And there's not one thing I can go, travel did this. It was like over time, the new experiences and just being completely out of your comfort zone and everything being new. Eventually, you're just like, wow, it really just develop you as a person. But it's not like you lost your job and then you had to fight hard and you learn work ethic. It's like a gradual thing as you sort of like learn and develop and tried everything in a new culture.
Yeah. I think like just like like where I worked, I was waking up at 4 a.m. every day to go to work, you know, for 4:45, 5 a.m. start. And I was smashing 60 sessions a week for like 4 to 5 years, you know, like I just learned how to work hard and, you know, work with people, half-an-hour sessions, you know, like half-an-hour sessions, trying to get results. Some of the best results I've ever had, I did in half-an-hour sessions. Like who the fuck coaches people in 30 minutes I learned how to be concise with my queuing. I learned how to be good with my programming. I learned how to go through 12 different clients in the morning. 12 clients in the morning. What the hell? Who does that? It's so draining. But, you know, you adapt to anything you put your body in, right? It's not the healthiest thing to do, but that's what I was doing. So, you know, when I say hard work, discipline, that's what I mean by that, you know, like I learned how to, basically that.
That's crazy good, though, in a sense of, you say it's not the healthiest thing to do, and maybe it isn't, but I think it's important. It's important to learn those sort of things. And I think balance, people expect balance to be everything's balanced in all areas of life. Where balance, it means that for a couple of months, I'm going to push my business really hard. Maybe I pull back for a month, and then I go hard again. And then, like, balance is sort of like be able to prioritize things over the weeks and over the years, like a training block, right? It's like I don't try and put something in for every single muscle group in every single session. At some points, I prioritize this and I back up other things. At some points, I push hard on this and I back up other things. And over a year, you know, over a mesocycle, you'll have a more balance. Whereas, like, same thing with life, right? Like, if you want balance in your business, your personal life, it comes in waves like anything else.
That's right. You got to learn when to push hard and when to back off. But the most important thing is just being consistent, right? If you have a goal and stuff, And, like, you know, I really learned how to separate work from personal life, from traveling, you know, and working from home. You know, switching off at a certain time, not looking at email. One of the best things I've ever done is got rid of the emails off my phone. Any coaches listening, take your emails off your fucking phone. If you get an inquiry through the website, it doesn't need to be answered straight away. Or if clients are texting you at 7-8 p.m. at night, they don't have to be answered straight away. You know, emails, take emails off your phone, just have it on your laptop and just have a look once or twice a day, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's the best feeling ever. I went away this weekend to Margaret River, which is a huge wine region of Australia. I went away for the weekend with a few friends and the missus, and I had my laptop ready to go. Yeah, I had my laptop in my hand ready to go because I'm thinking, I've got a few programs I need to get done, a little bit of admin, get on top of the finances, blah, blah, blah. Account years coming up. The missus said, what are you doing? Like, just leave it. It can wait. And I was like, okay. I left it. And I didn't think about work all weekend. It was nice. You know what I mean? So coaches, trainers, even clients, you'll learn how to switch off, man. Life isn't just all about fucking work.
Yeah, I think people don't really
understand. Or training.
Yeah. Everything's urgent in today's world, right? Everything's urgent. And like most people listen to this, whether you're coaches, whether you're potential clients or jobs, like unless you're a doctor, unless it's life and death with people having a last minute call, like nothing is really that urgent. We spoke about earlier on, right? In terms of like what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
And like taking the missing, you're going to regret. You're talking about earlier on in terms of what you want to be known for, you know, on your deathbed, you went being a good person. No one's going to say, you know what, I really hate the fact that I spent more time with my kids and my wife. Wish I'd taken that extra call.
Bro, I tell you this, yeah. One of my clients, she's retiring at the end of this year. And I said to her, like, you know, like she's been so stressed the last few years with work, yeah. And she does payroll for this massive mining or company, or maybe oil and gas, I think. And I said, oh, you know, you're going to retire, so good. And she's like, oh, I just feel really upset though, you know, like, you know, I'm overworked now. I'm coming to my retirement in a few months. I'm so overworked now, you know, I don't have any stress. I'm not working tomorrow. I'm over it. And she said, but you know what I just regret that I've done this for more than 40 years, you know, like, and taken so much time and, you know, be so stressed about work, you know, like, and missed out on family time because of work. She regrets that, the family time that she never had, and taking holidays when she should have. And I'm just like, fuck that. I don't want to be saying that. 100%. I do not want to be saying that when I'm retired.
Yeah, 100%. So we can get you out of work mode and you can sort of fall asleep and have a nap on that really comfy looking chair that you're sitting on. Yeah, where can people find you in terms of socials, websites, and what's the best hours to contact you to get a response before you go on holiday?
Mate, you can anyone can contact me anytime they want. They might not get a response straight away, but they eventually will. You can find me stephencollinstraining.com website. I'm just starting to, put blog posts up there if anyone likes to read about training, nutrition, etc. If you're in Perth, you can work with me. Although I don't at this current time, I don't have any slots available at the moment. But we can always discuss training remotely, etc. online. Is that the same thing? Remotely online? Yeah. Social media pages, Facebook, Instagram. I'm starting to do a little bit more of that now. Because I'm getting a little bit addicted to it. I like it.
That's good.
Putting
Stuff's
things
good.
up. Yeah. So have a little look. Stephen Collins Training, Instagram page, Facebook. Yeah, and just hit me up if you have any questions. If you're a coach looking to improve, get coaching, guidance, whatever, business, whatever, just let me know, innit? I'm a business coach now as well.
Mate, there we go. There we go. After all of this.
Just came out,
Yeah. How we got to the end of this?
Like if
we're sacking all your frustrated clients and taking on business clients in a month.
Yeah. Or, like if you're an athlete or just general pop, just hit me up, let me know if you need any help, or just follow my stuff and obviously show the love, show the support, and I'll help you out with free information. Yeah.
Yes, and if we are I'll add to this with regards to people following you, that if we're going to relabel the title of this podcast, "Don't Be a Cunt," I'll wholeheartedly say, after knowing Steve for many, many years, like, guy is very, very happy to give back. Guy is very happy to give advice. He's not a person that's going to necessarily charge for it. He's very happy to talk shop. He always shares my content when he likes it, which is I really love. And so, like, definitely well worth to follow. The guy definitely deserves support. He's finally getting on social media. It's about time. So, like, actually make it worth his while. And
thank you.
Support. Thank you very much, man, for jumping on.
Thank you.
Really fun.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for the invite onto your podcast. You've had some very well-known top coaches and people speaking, and I appreciate that I'm on the same podcast as yourself and those individuals. So I very much appreciate it.
As deserving as anyone else on here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, brother.